The Bibas family, they say that Hamas killed them. That's a lie. That's an outright lie. What killed the Bibas were Israeli airstrikes. That's what killed the Bibas. Israeli airstrikes and starvation is what's killed a lot of the hostages. Hamas is an inferior military to the IDF in every way. The only power that Hamas has is the hostages. That is the only power they have. So why would they go through the process of killing their most important commodity and negotiating tool? It doesn't make sense. And this is what Western media is not going to tell you guys.
And the idea of a mass deportation of millions of people is the most unreasonable and unrealistic, impossible thing to even conceive of. But even if you could, where? And there's not one of the regional partners could possibly handle that. Not the Egyptians.
Yeah, they talked about Libya, Egypt, Jordan potentially. They don't want that shit.
It's not the Jordanians, not the Syrians, not the Lebanese, not the Saudis. There's nobody that would take that population.
Do you think that's because they're concerned with their trade relationships being threatened, or they just don't want their country to become a hotbed for Israeli bombardment?
Oh, I think that they don't want it to become a hotbed for poverty unrest. I think that they look at the lesson of Lebanon, in which the Palestinian refugees settled in Beirut, and Beirut has never been the same, and Lebanon has never been the same. It's completely collapsed. It's collapsed, by the way, because of pressure from the Israelis, because of pressure from regional partners, because of pressure from internally, because of the political pressure, because of the Shia-Sunni split. And then you have this situation in which nobody wants the Palestinians, but everybody wants to protect the Palestinians, but nobody wants to take the Palestinians.
And they don't want to move.
Well, here's the thing. Why should they, though? You know, this whole concept of, oh, no one wants to take the Palestinians in. Bro, nobody wants to take anybody in. That doesn't mean that inherently that Palestinians are bad people. Because, like, that's like the equivalent, like, let's say you got a neighbor, right? And you really like your neighbor. But your neighbor got into a fight with some robber, and the robber kicked him out. Well, you don't want your neighbor, even though you love them, to stay at your house forever. They can maybe visit, but you're going to do everything in your power to make sure that you can get that occupier out so they get back in their house. Same exact thing with the Palestinians. Because this is a very famous Zionist talking point where they say stupid shit like, oh, well, nobody wants the Palestinians. Nobody wants them. None of the Arab world wants to take them in. Nigga, nobody wants to take anybody in. That's not even a point. You could love your neighbor as much as possible, but you ain't going to want your neighbor to move in to your house. Like, what the fuck? You already got your own problems you got to deal with. You would rather help your neighbor with getting their land back or getting their house back or getting some kind of split with their house. So this whole like Zionist talking point of like no one wants to take the Palestinians in because they're problematic people, that's fucking retarded. Ridiculous, man. And the fact that like these dumbass Zionists still use it, I've got like all their talking points memorized now at this point. I literally have like all their talking points memorized and I can debunk all of them. That all they do is fucking lie or make disingenuous arguments. Absolutely fucking ridiculous. Nobody would want to take anybody in. Like, for example, let's say the Palestinians kick the Israelis out. Do you think we would give them a state in America? No, we don't want them here either. Get the fuck out of here, nigga. Nobody wants to take a foreign people in. Nobody does. Holy shit, man. It's amazing to me how they still use this as a talking point as if it's like valid. It's retarded. Top G, hey Mar, what's up with that nigga Vivid on X? He seems to have joined the effort to cancel you online. Keep up the good work. We're here to support you. You guys want to know why? I'll tell you why. This dumb fuck. Yeah, this is actually one of the propagandists on Twitter. I roasted that nigga earlier today. Absolutely air fried him. I'll show y'all. Look at this. Myron Gaines is teaching youth in America to love Hitler. Why does he still have a platform, right? And I commented under, you call for the death of innocent Palestinians every single day while showing images of Gaza flattened. Shut the fuck up. 11K likes. Nigga got 531K likes and we ratioed the fuck out of him, bro. Holy.
Welcome, punch!
Bro, he got 531 likes on his shit and I got 11K on mine. Absolutely fucking cooked.
Welcome, punch!
I don't think I've ever ratioed anyone that bad. Ever. That's why he's mad. This guy doesn't even show his real face because he's that much of a bitch. This dude constantly, every day, posts pictures of like Israel bombing the fuck out of Gaza. This dude is like straight Israeli propagandist. I just roast him. I ratio him like every day. This dumbass nigga, bro. Huge fucking cuck. Like, for example, he goes, never forget how Palestinian terrorists carried and celebrated with music the coffins of Kafir, Ariel, and Shiri Bibas in a sick ceremony while the crowd cheered. Okay. Let me give you guys an example of what these idiots do, right? So they're showing this thing where the Hamas fighters are turning over the body of the Bibas, right? This was during the ceasefire back in, like, I think January, if I'm not mistaken. And just so you guys know, a bunch of them turned out in force. So in other words, Israel's not killing Hamas fast enough as much as they're growing. with every airstrike they do and the more people they kill, more people are becoming radicalized and joining Hamas. Now, I want to, look, let's be objective here. You got these guys, they're carrying the body in a coffin and handing the body over to the UN, right? And they're handing it over to the Red Cross or whatever as an intermediary. I don't know about you guys, but the fact that they got a coffin, put their pictures on it, showed respect and carried the coffin to the aid worker. I mean, do you guys see how the Israelis deal with Palestinians that get killed? They don't give them a fucking coffin. They don't give them a proper burial. They desecrate the body all the time. So look, I think it's important to have context here. When the Israelis hand over dead Palestinians, they don't give them dignity whatsoever. Also, just so you guys know, because it's also been a propaganda lie, the Bibas family, they say that Hamas killed them. That's a lie. That's an outright fucking lie. What killed the Bibas were Israeli airstrikes. Okay? That's what killed the Bibas. Israeli airstrikes and starvation is what's killed a lot of the hostages. Again, let's just use common sense. I debated a dumbass fucking Zionist on this like 2 weeks ago when they try to say that Hamas over here killing the hostages. Let's just use common sense. Hamas is an inferior military to the IDF in every way. Okay? The IDF has better technology, better trained soldiers, better weapons, an air force, etc. Okay? So not only are they a superior military force, they also occupy Gaza. They control all the food that comes in, all the water that comes in, the electricity, everything. Okay? So they have an environment advantage, they have a training advantage, and they have a military edge and weaponry. Right? The only power that Hamas has is the hostages. Okay? That is the only power they have. So why would they go through the process of killing their most important commodity and negotiating tool? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. If they wanted the hostages dead, as Israel claims, why didn't they just kill them on October 7th? Why go through the hassle of bringing them back to Gaza, feeding them, clothing them, housing them, while there's a mass starvation going on, by the way? Why go through all that trouble if they just wanted to kill them? Doesn't make sense. The math ain't mathin'. And this is what Western media is not going to tell you guys. This isn't me being a Hamas supporter. This isn't me being an Israeli supporter. This is me just being objective and using a little bit of common sense. If you're going to risk life and limb to conduct that operation on October 7th and kidnap hostages, which was their primary goal, why would you kill your hostages, your only negotiating chip? But idiots like Bibas over here on Twitter will sit there and try to rage bait and say, never forget how Palestinian terrorists carried and celebrated with music the coffins of Kifri, Ariel, and Shir's Baba's 6th ceremony while the crowd cheered. Keir Starmer was these barbarians have a state. Notice how he doesn't acknowledge that it was actually Israel that killed them. They tried to lie and say Hamas strangled them. That's not true. They died via Israeli airstrikes and starvation. That's how they died. And again, them making a coffin, putting their pictures on it, etc., that's a lot more respect than the Israelis give to the dead Palestinians that they hand over. Way more. Israelis put them in blue paper bags. Hamas gives them coffins. I think both entities are terrorist organizations, by the way. I've given you guys my position on this a million times. I've told you guys that Hamas is a terrorist organization, and so is the IDF. The only difference is that the IDF is better funded, better trained, and armed by the United States. But they're a terrorist organization too, if you want to go ahead and get into the technical definition of terrorism. The IDF is a terrorist organization too. And I've talked about the dark history of Israel before. But the IDF was formulated through 3 predecessor agencies: the Irgun, the Haganah, and the Stern Gang. These 3 Zionist paramilitary organizations were responsible for the death and destruction of Palestinians to create the State of Israel on May 15, 1948. When the State of Israel was created, the IDF was formulated by merging these different Zionist paramilitary organizations. And not only did they rebrand, they call themselves the Israeli Defense Force. It's very important, guys. So it went from Irgun, Haganah, and Stern Gang, who terrorized and killed Palestinians for years, And when they became a real state, they changed their name to the Israeli Defense Force. What they really are is the Israeli Attack Force. But they put the D in there, pause, for defense to create the implication that they're simply defending themselves. But the reality is that they don't defend themselves. They proactively attack their enemies first. As a matter of fact, it's one of their foreign policies and one of their quotes. Literally, rise up and kill them first. It's one of their quotes, chat. Israeli government, rise up and kill them first. So they'll sit there and lie and say, we're just defending ourselves. It's the Israeli Defense Force. But the reality is they should call themselves the Israeli Attack Force because that's what they do. They start the fucking conflicts. Okay, so real quick, I'm about to shit on this guy in the chat. Hey, Voca LG, you're saying here, Myron State defending Hamas and Iran. What did I say that was incorrect? Everything I just said is the truth. I'm going to put your dumb ass on blast so I can show how retarded some of you niggas are. Voca in the YouTube chat, tell me what I lied about. I'll wait. Now you're on the fucking spot, nigga. We're about to make you famous. Tell me what I said that was a lie. I'm waiting. I'm going to hold your fucking feet to the fire. Let's go, nigga. What did I say that was a lie? Oh, now he wants to deflect. Look, he says, what about the pros we have here in America? No, motherfucker. You made the fucking ridiculous claim saying I'm over here defending Hamas and Iran. I'm just telling the truth. Tell me where I was wrong. Tell me where I was wrong, bro. Now you're on the spot, nigga. We're going to make you famous. Tell me where I was wrong. Just like I expected.
Fatality.
Okay. See? Bro, shit's a joke. Everything I told you guys is true. You guys can literally go ahead and independently corroborate everything I told you. Look up Ergun, Haganah, and Stern Gang. Those were the predecessors of the IDF. Look at the different massacres that led to the creation of Israel in 1948 and the terrorist attacks like the King David hotel bombing. All that shit. Nigga has the nerve to say some stupid shit like, oh, Myron State defending Hamas and Iran. Oh, so tell him the truth is defending them? Tell him the truth is defending them?
Welcome, punch!
Fucking retard. Anyway, so yeah, Vivid, I cook him every day, bro. This nigga's retarded. Let's get back to the Hunter Biden interview.
It's their home. Yeah. So what do? And the same as this. If you're an Israeli and just a citizen, not a part of this government, not a supporter of Netanyahu, you are somebody that is sitting there and you watch what they did on October 7th and you go, how the fuck can I possibly live this way? How can anybody live this way? How can you live this way without eradicating the threat? And that's humanity. I know that there's no way about talking about this without really offending so many people.
Yeah, it's what I call a can't-win topic.
There is no win in the topic, other than to say this, there's only one way forward, and the only way forward is a two-state solution and a diplomatic solution.
No, translation. There's a very clear person that's in the wrong. It's just that it's not politically correct to call out these people because they run America. The rest of the world knows who the problem is. Okay? The rest of the world knows who the problem is. It's just that we're cucked in the United States.
Solution. Bombing the shit out of whatever remains of Hamas in Gaza and turning it into a golf course, like Donald Trump said, is not going to work, no matter what, unless you literally kill every single person that inhabits Gaza right now. You would have a generation upon generation that would justifiably haunt.
And here's the other thing too, right? Guys, I teach you guys how to debate on this stream a little bit. There's a reason why I call them out like that, right? As you guys know, every time I make points that show ugly realities about Israeli foreign policy, the number one thing that Zionists come back to me and say, I'm a Hamas supporter. I'm a terrorist sympathizer. That's because whenever they say that, I already know I won because they can't refute what I said. So instead of refuting my point that I made, they'll say some dumb shit like, oh, you're a Hamas sympathizer. You're a Hamas supporter. That's how they respond to the truth. It's a classic Zionist deflection tactic when you debate them. They cannot address the fact that they've killed 60,000 people, 70% being kids and women. They cannot defend the fact that they've been systematically bombing a closely cluttered population of 2 million people. They cannot justify how they're literally trying to ethnically cleanse them, and the news just came out within the last 24 hours that they are going to annex Gaza. They can't defend their points. So the only thing they have left is to say, you're a Hamas supporter. That's their go-to fucking argument every time. Macron, yeah, we want to recognize a Palestinian state. Oh, you guys are supporters of terrorism. They can't handle the facts. And the facts is they are wrong. They are 1,000% wrong. What they've done in this conflict is indefensible. October 7th does not justify their asymmetric warfare that they've been conducting over the past 2 fucking years. At all. We're talking about 600 Israelis at most, that were killed by Hamas. 600. And I've talked to you guys before about how I arrived at that number. All factually based, by the way. I don't want to bore you with repeating myself. But 600. 600. At absolute worst case, 600 were killed by Hamas. So does that justify between 60 all the way up until 400,000? Different sources say somewhere between 60,000 to 400,000 have been killed in Gaza. 600 leads to 400,000 or 60,000 on the lowest end. 10x. 10x.